Hello, Rabbi.
Afternoon, Joe.
So we're in the middle of summer vacation or the start of summer vacation, depending upon what school district you're in. And uh, I am again reminded of how other countries don't take summer break or have full school years, or in general, the arguments that are being made why we need to do more in our schools because other countries are getting so far ahead of us and their students are doing so much better in all the different classes in science and mathematics. What's your take on that, as I know you used to be a member of the school board?
It's a neat subject. And what comes to mind when we look at other countries and our school system is that we need to take a look at our education system, not just the calendar, not just year-round school. We need to look at the budget. We need to look at how we support our teachers, how we support our students. We need to look at classroom size. There's a number of things we need to look at because we have a problem. It's not that other countries are getting ahead of us. We are getting behind because we are getting behind, because of the things we're not doing. We don't follow good education procedures. We let money or business too often dictate what we do and what we don't do. The calendar, the school year, schools without air conditioning in places that need it, schools that are collapsing and falling, mold, mildew, all kinds of things are going on in our buildings. And the argument always revolves around the money. We need to stop looking, no, not stop. We need to take into account education. If we're going to educate our students, what do they need? What support do our teachers need? How much are we putting on our teachers that really aren't education? We're asking them to be social workers, daycare workers, to be babysitters. We're putting a lot on the school. We need to stop that and say, school is about education. How do we educate? What have we learned about how a person learns? And there are different learning styles. You know, I keep thinking of the cartoon of Pogo, where he says, I have seen the enemy or have met the enemy, and it is us. And I think that should be a motto within every business, every government, every place. Other countries are not getting ahead of us. We are causing us to fall behind. Look at what just happened in Florida. The building collapsed. One of the engineers did a survey a number of years ago, and it's built on marsh. It's built on unstable ground. And they pointed out cracks and problems. Nothing was done about it. Look at our bridges. Look at all the things going on. So rather than pointing to other countries, we need to stop and look at our own country and say, what are our problems and why are we falling behind? They're not getting ahead. And I think that's very telling. It also reminds me of a political adage. If you're having trouble as a politician at home, take a trip to another country. Go somewhere else, get the focus off. So you do something with foreign policy, or you actually take a trip somewhere. That's been going on for centuries. And maybe it'll never stop. But as long as it continues, we won't focus on what our problems are.
So where do you think critical race theory falls into all this?
I think that's not so much a red herring as it's defocusing us. Again, we're coming back to this all or nothing. We want a solution to something. This is the problem. This will solve it. The silver bullet expression for vampires. And reality doesn't work that way. There isn't a single problem. We need to take a look at our history curriculum. What are we teaching? Without coming up with, this is how to solve it. I want you to teach this. Let's pull back and say, how do we teach history? What are our resources? How are we training our faculty? And how are we training our students? And
I've heard so many teachers rail against No Child Left Behind because it's actually hurting the education system and causing schools to push students through without actually learning anything.
because you're teaching to the test, or you're doing the numbers, or these many students need to graduate. And we have to stop all that and take a look at our students, our kids. They're our kids. And we have to say, what do these kids need to learn? Some do well in a large class. Some don't do well in a large class. Some do well with individual learning. There's variances and differences. As adults, we all know that. We've all had to take credentialing and privileging. We've all had to pass boards. So we all know all of us have different ways of learning and different ways of testing and how we demonstrate our knowledge. So why don't we do that with our students? We don't do it because it costs money. And we don't want to put the money into it. It's that simple. We would rather put our money into tzatzkes, into toys, into other such things, rather than saying we need to shift the budget over. We need to see and critical race, it's not a solution. What it does tell us is we need to look at our history curriculum. We need to look at how we teach history. And we need to make some tough decisions about how factual, how mythological, and what it is we're trying to get across to our students. And it all can be done. And I think the problem being there are groups of individuals that are Black or white. The world, Joe, is gray. And as a cartoonist, you know that the world lies in the in-between. It doesn't lie in the extremes. And we're seeing that now in education with this new critical race theory, throwing it out. And that's not going to correct the problem any more than beating a child is going to get them to behave better. We need to take a look at all our curriculum. We need to look at our history.
Well, one thing that's certainly true about my history is that I've enjoyed the time I've spent with you and all the wisdom that you share every week with us. Thank you, Rabbi.
And you will continue to share and learn because we have not plumbed the depths of my wisdom.
Thank you, Rabbi.
You're welcome.